Hello, Tigers. Roger here. How have you been since we last saw each other? Have you ever been on a team? Did you play volleyball or football in the fall? Would you have played softball or baseball this spring? Right now, there aren't any teams to be on or to watch on TV because of the quarantine. It will soon be safe for everyone to play again, especially if humans stay home and follow the social distancing rules. Even though dogs don't get asked to be on teams very often, unless they live in Alaska and are lucky enough to be on a dog sledding team. Side note, that is definitely on my bucket list. Dogs still know a lot about teamwork. In basketball, I've noticed that 5 players have to work together getting a ball up the court to make a basket. In soccer, I've noticed that 11 players have to kick the ball and move it up the field to score a goal. On Troutdale's Battle of the Books team, you read a lot of interesting books, and then you answer questions about books' characters and plots. Good teammates start with a problem that needs to be solved. Teammates use their bodies and their brains to move and think so that they can solve things together. That's what teamwork means. Without a problem, a team doesn't have to figure out a way to work together. So having a problem, like wanting to win, is a good opportunity to solve something. Don't you think that you and your family have kind of become like a team during this quarantine? Do you notice how you're always together and trying to solve things like when your device isn't working for distance learning and someone in your family figures out how to fix it? Or like when you need to figure out what to have for dinner and maybe you have to work together to cook something? Or like when you're working on a puzzle or playing a game together with someone you live with? Maybe quarantine should be QuaranTEAM. See what I did there? Being in your family during this quarantine is like being on a team. Maybe you didn't choose this team, and maybe there won't be any trophies to win at the end. But I've noticed that my humans are solving problems with each other a lot more than they used to. I once heard a human coach say, "Remember, there is no I in team." I mean, to be honest, there aren't a lot of other letters in team either. But when a human coach says there is no I in team, they're really trying to remind us that we can't solve all the problems on our own. We have to work together. And this QuaranTEAM is definitely up to everyone in a family to get along and solve problems. So, there is no I in team. People, team is spelled T-E-A-M. And only you can spell it correctly by working together. So, go team. And remember, we can handle rough stuff. And we can handle solving problems together. See you next week.
Hello, Tigers. Thanks for coming back to Counselor Time. QuaranTEAM. I see what you did there, Roger. I like it. QuaranTEAM. And that reminds me of a book I have about a group who works together, like a team, to keep each other safe. It's called The Great Fuzz Frenzy. Let's read it together. The Great Fuzz Frenzy, written by Janet Stevens and Susan Stevens Crummell, illustrated by Janet Stevens. Down it went. Run for your life! Watch out below! Help, help, help! Plunk. There it sat, perfectly still. The prairie dogs waited, perfectly still. Slowly they crept out, inch by inch, dog by dog. What is it? A thing. A good thing or a bad thing? A round thing. A strange thing. A scary thing. What should we do? Don't touch it. Is it alive? Shh. Stand back, boomed a voice. You act like gutless groundhogs, afraid of your own shadow. Oh no, it's Big Bark. Big Mouth is more like it. He's the meanest dog around. I thought he left town. Well, I'm back, growled Big Bark, so out of my way. Let me have a look. But before anyone could move, Little Pipsqueak raced past Big Bark, reached out and poked the big round thing. No! The crowd yelled. It's Fuzzy, said Pip. Oh, the crowd gasped. A tiny piece of fuzz was caught in Pip's claw. She looked at it, turned it, sniffed it. Then she put it on her head. Look at me! Ah, the crowd sighed. Quit hamming it up, you half-pint hamster, snarled Big Bark. I'm in charge. But those prairie dogs didn't listen. They had to have fuzz. I like it. Me too. I want some. Do you? Oh, yes. So do I. So do we. So do they. Big Bark, move over. Get out of our way. They charged past him and grabbed at the fuzz. The prairie dogs pulled it, puffed it, stretched it, fluffed it, tugged it, twirled it, spiked it, swirled it. They fuzzed their ears, their heads, their noses. They fuzzed their feet, their tails, their toeses. Big Bark was beside himself. Listen to me, you ridiculous rodents! Stop this fuzzy foolishness! But those prairie dogs did not listen. They were busy being hot dogs and silly dogs, corny dogs and frilly dogs, top dogs, funny dogs, super dogs, bunny dogs. You're all nuts, you squirrely fuzzies, yelled Big Bark, storming off. News of the fuzz spread from hole to hole, burrow to burrow, town to town. Soon prairie dogs from everywhere were coming to see that fuzz. They came, they saw, they picked. They twisted it, braided it, danced and paraded it. It was a fuzz frenzy, a fuzz fiesta, a fuzz fandangle. The whole prairie was abuzz about fuzz. They picked and pruned and pulled and pinched. They pinched and pulled and pruned and picked until the fuzz ran out. That big round thing was fuzzless, naked as a plucked chicken. Some prairie dogs got a lot of fuzz. Some got a little. Some got no fuzz at all. And they were mad. Give me that fuzz. Why? Because it's my fuzz. Well, it was. Get that fuzz. Get that fuzz. Pulling, grabbing, swiping, nabbing, poking, jabbing. It was war. War between the fuzzes and the fuzz knots. Their peaceful town was a battleground. It was a fuzz fight, a fuzz feud, a fuzz fiasco. I started this, moaned Pipsqueak. I have to do something. Everyone, stop. Stop fighting. But those prairie dogs didn't listen. The battle raged on, friend against friend, cousin against cousin, dog against dog, until no one was left standing. They were pooped, fuzzled out, fast asleep. Hours later, the prairie dogs began to stir. Uh-oh, where's the fuzz? I don't know. Where'd it go? Someone has stolen our fuzz, cried Pipsqueak. Who did? He did. She did. You did. I did, barked a voice from above. I stole the fuzz. The prairie dogs froze. Then they raced up, up, up the long tunnel. There stood Big Bark, covered with fuzz from head to tail. I'm king of the fuzz, he snarled. Do you hear me? I'm king of the... Swoop! The sky went black. What happened? Where's Big Bark? Look! There he was, high above their heads, dangling from the talons of an eagle. No more Big Bark, the crowd cheered. Yay! Don't yay, he's one of us, yelled Pip. We have to save him. How would you like to be Eagle's lunch? No, the crowd yelled. Big Bark, wiggle free, the prairie dog shouted. Shake loose, hurry, we'll catch you. Big Bark twisted and turned, wormed and squirmed. At last he was free of the fuzz. Yay! The crowd cheered. Big Bark fell faster and faster. No! The prairie dogs scattered. Get back here, yelled Pip. Quick! Make a circle. Hold out your paws. They ran left, then right, then left. Plop. You saved me, Big Bark cried, but I stole your fuzz. Now it's gone forever. Good, said Pipsqueak. Fuzz is trouble, right? Yay, the crowd cheered. Friend hugged friend, cousin hugged cousin, dog hugged dog. We don't need fuzz, said Pip, but with Eagle around, we do need a watchdog with a big... Bark! Big Bark rose up on his hind legs. Eagle's back! Bark! This is not a test. Bark! All dogs below. Bark! The prairie dogs raced down, down, down the long tunnel. We made it. That was close. 3 cheers for Big Bark, the best watchdog ever. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Just doing my job, Big Bark smiled. Are we ever getting tangled up with fuzz again? Cried Pipsqueak. No! The crowd yelled, no more fuzz! No more fuzz! And from that day forward, The prairie dogs lived happily and fuzzlessly ever after. I really liked that story. But were you worried at first about the prairie dogs only thinking about themselves and all the fighting for the fuzz? I was worried at first. I'm really glad they stopped being selfish. I'm glad they stopped fighting. I'm really glad they started working together so they could stay healthy and safe. Just like a quarantine, they had to work like a team to keep each other healthy and safe. That's what my family's doing. We're having to problem solve, we're having to share, we are having to use coping skills every day so that we can get along like a team, so we can get through this. We are using our tiger traits at home. We're being respectful with each other or trying, being responsible or trying, being kind and safe so that we can do this together. Just like a QuaranTEAM. I think Roger's onto something. I like the idea. My family, we're going to try really hard to be a QuaranTEAM. I hope you will too. See you next week, Tigers.